Today's topic of discussion is perimetry, which is a test for field of vision. The apparatus that we require for perimetry is a Priestley-Smith's perimeter and a perimeter chart. Before we start doing perimetry, we need to know how a perimeter chart works. So the center point shown here in the perimeter chart is the center of the visual field, and the concentric circles which follows at 10 degrees, 20 degrees, 30 degrees, 40 degrees are known as isopters. The isopters are represented from 10 degrees to 90 degrees. The next thing that we see in the perimeter chart are meridians. The meridians are straight line running along the center of the circles. These meridians are recorded in an interval of 15 degrees on either side of the circle. They are 15 degrees, 30 degrees, 45, 60, 75 and so on. The meridians run on either side of the visual field from 0 to 180 degree on the right side and 0 to 180 degree on the left side. The next thing that we can see in the perimeter chart are two circles which are present in the intervals of 10 to 20 degrees isopters on either side of the visual field. Those two represent the physiological blind spot. The next thing that we can see in the perimeter chart are two big circles which are located in the interval between 40 degrees and 60 degrees isopter on either side of the visual field. Those are blind spots which are measured by a separate instrument which is known as the scotometer. Next thing that we can see are an irregular figure of solid line and an irregular figure of dotted line of the similar shape. These two shapes represent the visual field of the respective eyes. That is, the dotted line represents the visual field of the left eye, whereas the solid line represents the visual field of the right eye of a normal person. Next, we are going to discuss the parts of a perimeter. This is the stage on which the whole machine is housed. These are the two chin rests, the left and right chin rest. This is a stand with a screw to adjust the height of the chin rest. This is the leveling bar. This is a metallic disc on which we have a metallic arc which is graduated and attached to an object holding disc. And this white dot is the central fixation point for the patient. The metallic arc is graduated from 0 in intervals of 10 degrees in 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 up to 90 degrees of visual field. The object holding disc can be moved along the arc from 90 degrees up to 0 degrees. Behind the metallic disc we have a screw which is used to loosen the metallic arc and is used to calibrate it in 15 degrees intervals of different meridians of the visual field. Behind the metallic disc we have a screw which can be loosened to adjust the metallic arc. Behind that we have a wooden disc with a chart holding frame with the perimeter chart attached to it. Behind that we have a scale with a punch pointer attached to it. The scale is graduated accordingly in the intervals of the isopters of perimeter chart. We can fix the scale to a particular reading and then use the punch pointer to punch a hole inside the perimeter chart. This is the object holding disc which has two discs which can move independently from each other. This disc which I am moving right now changes the shape and size of the object that is presented to the patient. This is a 1 centimeter square. The lower disc, that is the shiny metallic one, changes the color of the object that is presented to the patient. Here you see I am setting it to a white background and I am changing the shape. You can start fixing the perimeter chart in any angle you want, but I would recommend you to keep the metallic arc on 90 degrees to the right of the patient, that is 90 degrees to the temporal field of the right eye of the patient, and then fix the perimeter chart into the frame so that the left and the right sides of the perimeter chart are upright and the left is corresponding to the left visual field and the right is corresponding to the right visual field. Now coming to the procedure of the experiment, the first step of the experiment is fitting the perimetry chart into the chart holding frame. Here we will loosen the first screw and bring down the scale. Then we'll loosen the screw which holds the perimeter chart, and then we'll fix this chart between the chart holding frame and the circular wooden disc. Before fixing the perimeter chart into the wooden disc, we need to first make sure to fold it to give it an approximate shape of a circle. Because the chart is a square, if we do not fold it into the shape of a circle, it might not fit inside the wooden disc which is circular. You also need to take care of not cutting the edges of the perimeter chart, otherwise it will be very thin and it will not fit snugly inside the chart holding frame and the wooden disc. That is why we fold the chart. While fixing the chart, make sure that the central part of the perimeter chart is matching up with the central pin of the wooden disc, and the vertical and the horizontal meridians are approximately equal to the vertical and the horizontal lines. You can also use the scale and move around the punch pointer and use a dummy punch to see whether it lines with the horizontal line and the marking equally or not. That way you are sure that your perimeter chart is fixed properly. Like discussed previously, we will start recording the visual field from the 90 degrees temporal field of the right eye. That is why we have fixed the metallic arc on a 90 degrees to the right side of Mohan sir. Next, we will start moving the object holding disc with the help of the leveling bar from 90 degrees towards the center, and we will ask Mohan sir to lift his arm as soon as he can see the object. Then we see the markings where Mohan sir had lifted his hand. As we can see, that marking of the white object is between 70 and 80 degrees. So we go back to the perimeter chart, move the punch pointer between 70 and 80 degrees, that is 75. Then we punch a hole inside the perimeter chart. Now to change the angle of the arc in an interval of 30 degrees, we loosen the screw that is present behind the metallic disc, change the arc to 30 degrees above the previous reading which we were taking, and then tighten the screw again. Then we set the object holding disc again to the 90 degrees edge of the metallic arc and repeat the procedure for this meridian. Again we ask Mohan sir to lift his hand as soon as he can see the object. Then we mark the reading from the metallic arc again. As we can see, it is again 75 degrees. And then we come back to the perimeter chart, fix the scale in between 70 and 80, and then we punch a hole through the chart again. Continue doing the same steps at 30-degree intervals for 12 meridians, completing a 360-degree field of view for one eye. Then change the chin rest to the other side. Ask the patient to close the opposite eye and do the same for the other eye. You may plot the field of view for the other eye on the same perimetry chart. After you have plotted all the points on the chart, connect the dots to form a shape for the field of vision for right eye and left eye respectively. The final diagram on the perimetry chart will look something like this, and this will be your result.